What's up? What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Powerhouse Mentality Podcast. I am your host. I am Caitlin Kenna Smith, and today we're going to get into a topic that I have been, it's just been heavy on my mind lately, and the reason for that is because I have a lot of conversations on a daily basis. I talk to people in my DMs on Instagram, I talk to people in Facebook messaging, I talk to all of my clients. I just have a lot of different conversations with a lot of different people, with the intent to help that person. And really, the way that I look at it is, how can I help this person move forward in some capacity in their life? Or how can I become the best part of that person's day and make that conversation fucking memorable? And then, of course, I just have really good conversations with people that I just vibe with and that I love. But one of the biggest things that I ask people when I'm having a conversation with them is, what's one of your biggest struggles? Like, what are you struggling with right now? What's holding you back from stepping into your full potential? What's holding you back from starting your fitness journey or reaching your fitness goal or just becoming the version of yourself that you want to be? Because we all have this version of ourselves that we dream of becoming, or we have this life that we envision, or we have this fitness goal that we want so desperately. But there's always one main thing, and then other little things holding us back from stepping into that. And I love to know what that is, because for a lot of people, it's something that's very simple that they can either work out really quickly and come to a solution with, or it's something that they need a little bit more support with that I can help with. And a lot of the conversations lately have been guided in the same direction. So I wanted to bring it up here, because if a lot of people that I'm talking with are struggling with it, that means that a lot of people who are probably listening to this podcast are also struggling with it. So I want to be able to help people on a bigger, deeper level here. Now, the biggest thing that I've heard when I ask somebody, well, what is your number one struggle right now? People say, I do really well. And then life happens. Something comes up, the kids, my job, something crazy happens. And then I can't continue to do the things that I know I need to do, like tracking my macros or managing my nutrition or doing my workouts or doing my personal development or studying or focusing on whatever they want to improve in their life. Now, one of the biggest things that I want to paint that picture for those people who are in this position, because I know that a lot of people out there are probably like, yeah, that's me. Yep, that's my struggle. Cool. Well, raise your hand, be honest with yourself, and I want you to reflect on this. There are so many successful people in the world. There are so many people who have accomplished a goal that they've set out to accomplish. Now, do you think that all of those people who have accomplished something in their life, who have gotten in shape, who have become successful, who have built the business, do you think that they don't have difficult things happen to them? Do you think that they don't have moments throughout their day that throws a wrench in things? Of course they do. I mean, if you look back on your life, I bet that you can pick out something that you've accomplished, because if you're a human being, you've accomplished something, right? I bet you can pick out a moment where you accomplished something and you didn't let anything get in your way of accomplishing that goal. Like, you had setbacks, you had moments where things were thrown into your plan and life happened, but you still got shit done, regardless. So what's the difference? Right? So perspective is the most powerful thing here. And perspective, in my opinion, is probably the most powerful thing when it comes to life. Because how we see something is how we respond to something. And an example of this that's super simple and that I talk about a lot on the podcast is that you see one person come from one environment and they accomplish something incredibly successful. And then you have another person who comes from the same environment who uses that environment as the excuse as to why they can't accomplish something. And it's the perspective and how they perceived the situation and how they allowed that perspective to cause them to grow or to cause them to stay stuck. I like to say, you get to determine if your past is going to become your prison or if it's going to become your power. Because on the same spectrum, if you're a human being, you've accomplished something, right? We've spoken about that. But if you're a human being, you've also had really fucking horrific shit happen to you in your life. We've all had shit happen to us. So you can't blame that shit as the reason why you can't do X, Y, Z. You're in control. Not the past, not the present, not the future you. The people who you look up to, they find a way to get it done and execute regardless. And the two key points here, things that I talk about all of the time because I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. They're simple concepts, but everybody wants to overcomplicate everything. Keep it fucking simple. Never lose momentum. And no matter what happens in your life, keep the promises and the commitments that you make to yourself. No matter what should be in caps for everything. Never lose momentum. No matter what. Keep the commitments you make to yourself. No matter what. Because the reality is that life is always going to happen. We can't predict everything that's going to happen in our life. We don't know when we're going to get sick. We don't know when we're going to have a tragic thing happen to us. We don't know when we're going to lose our job or if we're going to have an opportunity taken away for us. We don't know what's going to happen in life. And we can't control everything. However, we can always control how we perceive and how we respond to everything that happens in our life. And we are always in control of our attitude, our effort, and our actions. So the most important thing here to recognize on your journey is that it will never be perfect. So stop expecting it to be. You have to shift your expectations. And this is fucking important. I talk to a lot of the people that I coach who are parents. One of the biggest reasons why they really struggle, especially at first with a newborn, is because they have these false expectations because they think that fitness and nutrition and achieving their goals are going to look the same as what it did before they became a parent. And that's completely unrealistic. It's going to be very, very fucking different. And you need to be able to shift your expectations to understand that. Because once you shift your expectations, then you're able to attack it from the right direction. And that's how you have to look at different seasons of your life, too. There are going to be different seasons of your life where maybe you have to take care of a sick relative, or maybe you have to go all in on your career. There are going to be certain seasons of your life where certain things are going to take priority or responsibility over other things. But that doesn't mean that you stop doing those other things, because remember, never lose momentum. It doesn't matter, though. You might sometimes have to fucking crawl. Sometimes you're running, sometimes you're walking, sometimes you're crawling, but you're still moving forward, and that's the most important thing. Because the second that you stop something, it takes a lot more time, effort, and energy for you to restart it and restart it. And then over time, you just become frustrated, and eventually, you fucking give up. I spoke about this on last week's podcast, where you have a train going at 100 miles per hour. It's going to knock down any brick wall that comes in its way. But that same train that's traveling down the track, and it starts and it stops and it starts and it stops, it's going to get crushed by any brick wall that gets in its way. And the same thing goes for you when it comes to your momentum. You create momentum, and then you have to make a promise to yourself to never lose it no matter what. And there are going to be really difficult times that you have to go through in your life where all you want to do is quit. But don't lose momentum. Because once you can learn how to never lose momentum no matter what, that's when you really start to tap into things, because consistency is what's going to deliver results. So accept this. Conditions will never be ideal, but you have to take action anyway. There are going to be some days where you wake up and you don't feel 100%, whether that's physically or mentally. And sometimes you don't know why. That's fucking normal. There are going to be some days where you feel like you aren't making any progress, or you feel like you're not doing enough, or you feel like you're stuck. And that's when you really have to get honest with yourself and ask yourself, like, are you actually stuck? Are you actually not making progress? Are you actually not doing enough? Or are you just overthinking things and becoming impatient? See, the thing is, you have to have patience with the process. But you have to have aggressive patience in the sense where you understand that the journey takes time and building anything great or building success takes time. Like if you're on a fitness journey, you have to understand that you didn't wake up overweight, so you can't expect to get a six-pack overnight. It's going to take time. And progress comes in drops, but you lose it in buckets. That's why you never lose momentum. But you have to be aggressive with the process and understand, like, every day you should go to bed and feel like, okay, I did the best that I could potentially do today. And some days, or every day, your 100% is going to look a little bit different based on what's going on in your life, based on how you slept, based on how you fueled yourself. But all you can do is set yourself up for the best day possible. And that perspective and that mindset and that attitude, the cool part about life is that no matter how shitty a morning is, for example, you can make a decision right now to say, you know what, today's going to be the best fucking day of my life. You can make that choice at any point during the day. It's not like, hey, it's 5 p.m., today's been a shitty day, so we'll try again tomorrow. It's like, no, it's 5 p.m., I still have time left in the day, and I'm going to make today the best fucking day of my life. That's up to you. And when you live life with that perspective, the law of attraction is real. When you put out positive energy, you get positive energy in return. Now, it's not going to just land on your lap, but when you're more positive, you're more likely to take action because you have more belief in the process. So, have aggressive patience. Understand that it takes time, but don't let that slow you down. Let that actually fuel you to push harder. And you have to do it regardless of how you feel. And I know that this one sucks for a lot of people. It's a hard pill to swallow, but it's a pill that you have to swallow if you want to accomplish your goals. Your mind has to be stronger than your feelings. There are going to be some days where you don't feel like doing something that you know that you need to do to reach your goals. You don't feel like working out. You don't feel like tracking your macros. You don't feel like going to work. You got to do it anyway. And for the parents out there, here's a perspective that you can look at. Do you wake up some days and you're like, I don't feel like caring for my child because you're tired, because you had a long day at work, but you still do it anyway because you got to? What if you looked at your fitness and your health the same way? Like, there are some days where you really don't feel like going to work too, but I bet you fucking do. Look at your fitness and your health the same way because those are the foundations. And when your health elevates, every area of your life elevates. And if you're struggling and you need help, you need to be willing to invest in yourself because you're not going to fucking figure it out on your own. I'm sorry, but you've tried it how many times in the past? And you're still thinking that you're going to figure it out on your own? Don't stop trying, but maybe it's time to stop wasting time and invest, because you're either going to pay in money or pay in time. And if you could receive your goals in 16 weeks, in 6 months, in a year, simply by investing a little bit of money into it and hiring a good coach, instead of just wasting time and wasting time and wasting time, and 3 years later, you're still in the same fucking position and you're more frustrated, which one would you rather have? You have to, no matter what, show up for yourself. And every day, wake up and say, today's going to be the best fucking day of my life because I'm going to make it that. And I get that it's really easy to get overwhelmed. So the last thing that I'm going to leave you with, guys, is a little bit of an activity that you can do when you are feeling overwhelmed. And it takes 5 to 10 minutes, okay? So I want you to set a timer for 5 minutes. And during those 5 minutes, I want you to dump onto a piece of paper everything that's overwhelming you. Every fucking thing that's swirling around in your mind that's making you feel overwhelmed, dump it onto that piece of paper. Once that 5 minutes is up, you're going to set a timer for another 5 minutes and you're going to do 2 things. You're going to chunk those things into buckets, So what I mean by that is you're going to be like, okay, well, this has to do with my health, this has to do with my wealth, and this has to do with my relationships. Those are 3 little categories that you could chunk it into so that you have different categories and you know where things lie. And then the final thing you're going to do is you're going to sequence those things. You're going to take the biggest pain point, or the thing that if you fixed it or found a solution to it, it would be the biggest painkiller. So it would remove the most resistance and it will make the most things better. Prioritize and execute. All right, so dump, chunk, sequence. Takes 10 minutes to do, and it will make you feel way better because you're going to have a plan of action on how you can actually tackle the things that are making you feel so overwhelmed. So, if you're somebody who keeps telling themselves that I can't do X, Y, or Z because life keeps getting in the way, recognize that conditions are never going to be ideal. You have to take action anyway, and you're in control every fucking time. So go out and do one thing today that's going to take you one step closer to where you want to be.